Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 406. My name is Adam Patterson. With me today, we got Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hi.
This week on the show, we'll be taking a look at Mortal Kombat, which is out now in theaters and on HBO Max. I didn't realize it, but those are only out on HBO Max for a limited time, so you gotta jump on it. I think,
oh, shit.
Yeah, they take them off after a certain amount of time.
Seems rude.
Yeah. We'll also be going over some more watching on the watch list and this week's new releases on VOD and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please remember to review us on iTunes if you get a moment. That would be super helpful. Soon, I can add theaters back onto that list.
Oh, watch out.
Very soon, I think. I think it's happening. It's imminent. We're starting to see more things trickle into theaters, more theaters opening back up. AMC's opened its doors again, so...
I lost my neighborhood.
Oh, did you?
Theater.
Oh,
yeah.
Man, that sucks.
And it sucks, too, because they closed down, and they did like an auction for like literally everything in the building, right? You could just go in, and it would just be like a shelf with its contents, you know, put a bid in. And the shitty thing is apparently they just bought tons of leather recliners, and they were going to redo the entire theater, and then COVID hit.
Oh,
so
God.
They were auctioning off all the recliners, and yeah,
That sucks.
Bad timing.
Well, I'm hoping that theaters will be able to bounce back soon. I mean, the one of the big things is they need movies to put in the theaters, you know? Like,
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of an important part.
I was
of
looking,
the whole deal.
you know, last night I was going through the iTunes trailers app on my TV, and I was just like, oh my God, there's no movies. Like, there's just no movies. Like, this has been the most pathetic. We knew it would be, but this has been the most pathetic year for movies. There's been like 2 movies that I've liked that came out this year.
Yeah, it's been rough. But the other thing, that's grown out of this is like some really exciting like film festival type things and like new online programming that's free that you can check out. The only problem is that it seems like there's a lot, and me personally, I don't have the time, and they're limited. So I'm always like, oh, this looks really cool. And then like I finally get around to checking it out, and it's like you have 1 day left to watch 87 movies. It's like, God damn it, I have 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It sucks.
I think I've said it before on the show. Like, I was really excited about the whole prospect of the online film festival thing, but I quickly realized after attending like 4 of them that it's way more chaotic and stressful than in-person film festivals.
But some of them are doing, like, there was just one recently called Prismatic Ground, which was like experimental stuff, which was really great, but I only got to see 2 movies from it because I just didn't have the time. But it was kind of set up like an even better version of Slam Dance, where everything was just free. You just went to the page, everything was organized. It had like 4 waves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like 4 separate programs. You would just go on the page, and there were just little Vimeo windows, and you could just click play. You didn't have to buy a pass or anything. You could donate it if you wanted to, and you could just scroll through, find a movie, just click on the little window, and you could watch it.
Nice.
And it was great.
Yeah, that's nice. The new Saved by the 90s will be dropping this week. Stay tuned. I'll be announcing that on social media. I had a really crazy busy week last week, and I didn't have a chance to finish the edit, but it's almost done now. So definitely, I'm looking at maybe Thursday for dropping that. So probably Thursday. All right, let's jump into our review. We're talking about Mortal Kombat. This is directed by Simon McQuad? I don't fucking know. McQuaid?
I just love that quick realization.
Yeah.
Wait a second, that's not right. And if you click on, it looks like he's done nothing else.
No, he's
interesting.
Yeah, he's a newcomer.
It's weird.
Yeah, newcomer. I'm wondering if he did like some commercial work or like video game stuff. He's had to do something music videos, maybe something. There has to be a reason that he was picked, you know?
I would hope. I mean,
I have a synopsis here. MMA fighter Cole Young seeks out Earth's greatest champions in order to stand against the enemies of Outworld in a high-stakes battle for the universe. So, I've been talking about this for the past couple of weeks. I was really excited for it. I went in deliberately with very low expectations. Like, I wasn't expecting this to be a great movie or anything like that. So, I was hoping that I was setting myself up to not be let down. I suspected that I would at least have some fun with it from the trailer, because the trailer had a lot of really fun moments in it, and I'm like, oh man, looks like the fights are at least going to be good. And you know, one of the things about Mortal Kombat, obviously I was a huge fan of the video game series, still am, and I was excited for the prospect of an R-rated Mortal Kombat movie, one that like embraces the gratuitous levels of violence that the game was so famous for. So I was really excited going into this. There's not a lot of movies in 2021 that I feel like I'm excited about, and this was one of them. And I gotta say, I was pretty disappointed in Mortal Kombat, actually. The thing about Mortal Kombat for me was, and this was almost worse than it just being a pile of shit, was that it was like so middle of the road for me that it wasn't great, but it wasn't like complete dog shit either. It was just straight down the middle, and I found a lot of it to be actually pretty dull, which was really surprising.
Yeah.
And and like hugely disappointing. It's like, again, I would almost rather it be more like the 90s version, where it's so ridiculous and cheesy and awful that it has some lasting power. But I think it does some things right, but I think that it takes a lot of missteps along the way. The biggest part, and this is something I think everyone is probably talking about, there's no tournament. Where's the fucking tournament? Like the whole thing about this, it's Mortal Kombat. It's designed, it's a tournament to the death, and they talk about the tournament, and they're like, oh, you're chosen, Cole Young, you're chosen to be in the Mortal Kombat tournament. We got to get you to the tournament and train you and all this stuff. And then the movie ends. There's no tournament.
I do kind of appreciate this idea that they go for, is because like the tournament doesn't make any sense. Let's be honest. And it's weird, like the arbitrary rules of this tournament, where it's like, okay, you know, Outworld, you have to win 10 tournaments in a row, and then you're able to take over Earthrealm. You can invade, you know, you have every right because you won. And I just love that they pick 10 tournaments in a row. And of course, they've won 9 in a row. So they're kind of like, and I get it. I get Outworld. Like, you know what? Fuck this. We're just going to invade you because this is stupid. Like, why do we have to win 10 tournaments? Such a weird rule.
I mean, the fact that there wasn't a rule against them just killing all of the fighters before the tournament, I do kind of like that too. And that's totally fine to put that in there. I think that's actually a really great way to introduce the characters and start the world building. Like, have it, don't just go right into the tournament, but the fact that the whole movie is pre-tournament and like so many people die like before the tournament even begins. I mean, obviously this is all set up for a sequel, but I don't think they should have immediately planned for a sequel, considering the track record of, you know, video game movies and Mortal Kombat in general. I mean, the first movie was very successful, but the second one wasn't, and the movie versions of Mortal Kombat have been pretty dormant ever since. There was that one TV show that was created. There's actually multiple TV shows. There was a really bad one in the 90s, and then there was that one that was like online that was pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I don't think they should have just baked a sequel into it. Like maybe give us a little Easter egg or like a stinger at the end that alludes to a sequel. That's fine. But I feel like this movie is designed to be the first chapter.
Yeah. And
for a movie like this, I think it's risky to do that. And it feels incomplete to me. And, you know, that's just my first kind of quibble with this movie. I think that there's
Oh
multiple
yeah,
things, but
I have more.
yeah,
If you
yeah,
want to hear.
yeah. No, I said
If you want
one.
to hear.
I said an issue. Now you say an issue, and then we'll go back and forth.
I mean, to start this off, again, I know I say this a lot, but I had no idea what this movie was going to be. Like, I had no idea what they were going to do here. So the whole Cole Young thing kind of threw me because I was like, well, who's he going to be? You know, I'm trying to look for clues as to what character he's going to be, like be born into and be like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's the guy from Mortal Kombat that I know from my childhood, and I'm like, because Cole Young's, I mean, first you pick a super bland name.
Yeah, I mean, horrible
Cole
character,
Young.
like horrible main character, horrible protagonist. Nobody cares about Cole Young. Give me a break.
Yeah,
you have a huge roster of characters.
Yes,
a huge roster, and to their credit, they include a lot of characters in this first entry, and I think that's great. Like everybody has their favorite Mortal Kombat character, and the fact that so many of them are represented in this, even like some of the lesser known characters. I don't know if that's true, but a lot of like not the non-main like Mortal Kombat 1 characters are in this, and the fact that they brought in this like created this new guy. I mean, I kind of understand what they're going for. Like this is a brand new character. He's coming in and learning about the world as we are and stuff, but I just don't feel like they had to do that. I mean, bring Johnny Cage in, have Johnny Cage be the main character. That would have probably been way better.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you're going to go this route of making a new character, okay, fine. I get it too. Like you said, it's kind of a plant for the audience where it's the new guy who doesn't know anything about this, so it gives them opportunities to kind of like explain the lore to him and the history and stuff, and people that aren't maybe familiar with Mortal Kombat can kind of get some information. But if you're going to do that, maybe come up with a better name than Cole fucking Young, for Christ's sake. I mean, that's just the blandest name I've ever heard in my life. Two, him like working towards unlocking his arcana to like become his special character. I mean, that's when I like gave him a little bit of room where I was like, okay, well, let's see what he turns into. This could be cool. He turns into a super bland character.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ, at least there's consistency with the name and the fucking outfit and weapons and shit. Jesus Christ. And I mean, just everything about his character is just so dull.
Yeah.
Just incredibly dull. And to use like, oh, he has to unlock his arcana because he cares about his family. Like, it took him that fucking long?
Yeah.
To figure that out?
It took his family almost getting brutally murdered for him to unlock it. Even Kano, like the freaking dullard, was able to unlock his. Which, by the way, is another thing. I don't want to like completely shit on this movie because I think that there were a lot of elements that I did like. I liked the idea that the way that they introduced the sort of powers, like that where you unlock them, and because they never really, as far as I know, they never really explained how people have just superhuman abilities in the Mortal Kombat games. It was just sort of there. Yeah. So I did like how, if you're chosen for this tournament, you train and eventually you do unlock some sort of power within you. And I liked that. I thought that was a cool, mechanic. But everything with Cole Young, I thought was just so bad. I mean, fortunately, it's not like we spend gobs and gobs of time with him. Like, I feel like him being there is offset by all of the other characters, the actual Mortal Kombat characters, which are like far more interesting than him. I mean, even in this movie, they're way more interesting. Like, I really liked what they did with Kano, how they made him this sort of wisecracking Aussie, and how at first he was sort of on their side and going on this adventure with them. So I liked what they did with Kano. I thought that was cool. And I just sorry, go ahead. You continue.
I think the thing that gets me with like the Cole Young stuff and the Arcana stuff is far too much of this is played like very seriously. like far too seriously for a movie based on a video game.
Yeah.
That like the only thing about Mortal Kombat is that there was a blood code. Like that was it's not and you know, I might ruffle some feather. Like it's not that great of a fighting game, to be honest. I mean, it's just cool that it has fatalities and it had a blood code. Like the fighting mechanics of it were not good at all. And it didn't really get much better until like later down the road.
Yeah, it definitely got better. It became a viable fighting game later on. But
that was its only claim to fame.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you.
Blood.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't think it's a movie that should take itself too seriously. And I think that it does try to keep things light. But too often, I agree that it does take itself too seriously. And, you know, I think that it's a tough balancing act because you have a movie that's so chock full, or just a story, a property that is so chock full of violence. You don't want to get too goofy with it. You still want it to look cool and be badass and have badass fight scenes. So I think it's tough. And I think that that's maybe one of the problems is that it tries to strike that balance because there's a lot of like one-liners and jokes and like references to the game, like the finish him and flawless victory and fatality. You know, you have all of those references, but sometimes they don't fit. And it felt like, you know, like there was one scene when Kung Lao, which by the way, I love that Kung Lao is in this. Kung Lao kills somebody and he says, I think that was him. He says flawless victory. And it felt so tacked on. And you're just like, oh, come on. And, you know, that would be fine. Like that moment would be fine if the rest of the movie kind of followed that same tone where you have these like really intense moments of action, but in between that, it's almost like a comedy, but that's not really how it is.
No. And it's unfortunate. I mean, because the thing that gets me the most with this is that it feels really, really uneven. Like we talked about the balancing act between like going far too serious. Like I think they just take the needle way too far when they try and go serious, and it throws it way out of whack, especially when it's focused on Cole Young. But it's like story wise, and even action wise, really, like with the fight scenes and everything, it's like there's two movies because you have the bookends with the Sub-Zero and Scorpion stuff, which feel incredible. And it feels like that should be the main focus of this movie and not Cole Young. And those fight scenes, the effects work, like everything to do with Sub-Zero and how they do the ice and, you know, ice crystals, ice shattering, him throwing ice, you know, all that stuff. It all looks absolutely incredible. And then everything else that's kind of like in the middle just doesn't feel on the same level at all, to me at least.
No, I 100% agree with you. I think that the opening of this movie is badass. I think that it had a great opening. And even like pretty much the first act is fine. All of the Scorpion Sub-Zero stuff is an obvious highlight, and I think that anyone will say that they're the best moments of the movie. The beginning, like the opening where they establish the Scorpion Sub-Zero relationship, and then the big fight at the end. And that's the thing, like when I said before, when I was like, wow, the trailer makes it look awesome and shows a lot of really cool fight scenes. The thing is, the trailer, all those fight scenes that they show in the trailer, you see in the movie, and that's it. And
yeah.
And it's so unfortunate because there's something weird about this movie and how they do the fight scenes. After the movie, I said I could have used some more action. Like I said to my wife, I was like, I felt like there wasn't a lot of fighting in it. But then when I thought about it, I realized it's almost wall-to-wall fighting. Like there's very little downtime. But then I started thinking, like, why was my first thought, oh, there wasn't enough fighting in this movie, when in reality that it's almost nonstop. And I realized because the fights were so short, and a lot of times there were like simultaneous fights happening at once.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It like sort of detracted from the overall action experience. And
yeah, because you have
you have these like big moments that come up, and you're like, oh shit, like it's gonna be like Liu Kang versus Cabal, and this is gonna be a badass fight, and it lasts like 10 seconds, and you're just like, what? Like, what's going on here? And I think that that's why my initial thoughts were there wasn't enough fighting.
Yeah, no, because you're exactly right. Because the problem is you have too many fights at once, and you're cross-cutting between those fights. So yeah, you get Liu Kang versus Cabal, and you're like, yes, this is great. This is what I signed up for. But you'll get, it's essentially just Cabal attacking, like just simple maneuvers, and Liu Kang blocking them, like 5 strikes maybe, and then it cuts to the other fight that's happening at the same time and does the same thing, and then it cuts to this fight. And it's just constantly cutting between these fights, and you're not really seeing like incredible action. You're just kind of getting some like hand strikes that are getting blocked, and then it cuts to another one, and this guy's smashing something, and then it cuts to another one, where this guy got knocked in the face, and that's it.
Yeah, and I think that that's why one of the reasons that the Scorpion Sub-Zero fight stands out, because they actually take the time to show them fighting one-on-one, and it's like an actual fight, like choreographed fight scene, where it's not just this little like 10-second snippet. And even there's like a really big fight that happens earlier on, where it's basically all the characters. It's like a big battle royale where it's like the good guys versus the bad guys. They're all fighting at once, they're all in the same place, and that has some really great moments. But again, they still do the same thing where they're like, oh, Sonya Blade's fighting Melina, and then we see like 3 seconds of that, and then we jump over to Kung Lao, and then they're still fighting separately, so it still has that same effect. Then later on, when they split up and then they fight again, that's even more disjointed. And I think that was just not a great way to portray it.
Yeah.
Which sucks, because I think that they really nailed a lot of the aspects of this. I think that for fans, there's a lot of stuff the fans will enjoy. Like the fact that the moves that are performed in the movie are moves that you see in the game. Like the powers and the fatalities. Yeah, there's fatalities in this movie, which is not something we've really seen before in a Mortal Kombat movie. And it's the same fatalities that you see in the game. And so I think that that's really cool. But I just feel like for every step forward, they just took two steps back.
Yeah, it feels like, to me, again, the Scorpion Sub-Zero, that's where they put all their time and effort, and then they just decide like, okay, we just got to fill in between these two end pieces.
It is interesting, isn't it? It does almost feel like it's two separate movies, because the tone is different. Even like the look, like aesthetically, it's different. And like the effects work looks like it's like they put more effort into the effects.
That's what I mean.
Work.
Like that was done first, and then they're like, okay, this is the budget that we have left over, so let's do something. We don't even have money for a cool name. The only thing we can afford is Cole Young.
Cole Young. Oh man, that's unfortunate.
And that was another personal thing for me. There's a lot of Mortal Kombat characters that I do not like, and I have no interest in whatsoever. And I was really, like, right off the bat, I was like, oh boy. Because you got the Cole Young thing, which I wasn't quite sure what was going on there. Plus, all I knew is that he was boring. He was a dull character. But I held out hope that it could be redeemed in some way. And then Jax shows up, and I'm like, okay, I don't like Jax at all. I can't stand him as a character. So, of course, this is going to be Sonya Blade, who I don't like at all. And then I could just kind of came to the realization that, like, I just hate all the Earthrealm people. Like, they're very boring to me.
For the most part,
they're just not as cool. And it's tough to be, like, rooting for them, because I understand Outworld. You have this stupid bullshit of you got to win 10 tournaments. Seems ridiculous. Yeah, fuck the tournament. Just take over. You're far, far more powerful than they are. There's no way that Earthrealm is winning these things. And I don't know how they pull it off. It's bullshit. Cole Young? You lost to Cole Young.
Who has like the lamest power of all.
He's got sticks. Get the fuck out of here. And what? He's got wicker armor? Wicker armor and sticks.
Man. I can't imagine playing him in the game. Like, it'd be the most boring character to play in the Mortal Kombat game. You just block. You hold down block.
Well, that's what I wonder now, too, with the video game.
Are they going to introduce him? They might.
Did they have input? Because let's say they don't have input, right? And they watch this movie and they're just kind of looking at each other like, fuck, do we have to add a Cole Young to the goddamn game? No one wants that.
They will. I guarantee you they will.
I hope they do, and that it's impossible to win with him. Like, it's coded in that you lose. You just get your ass kicked instantly.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they added so many characters to Mortal Kombat.
Well, that was the other thing that I got confused, because there's the guy with the sledgehammer. I've never seen
I don't know who that is either.
I don't know who the fuck that is.
Like, I played Mortal Kombat 11. I have no idea who that is. Rico? I don't know who that is.
And even when they did Reptile.
Yeah.
I didn't, because I'm like, was he ever a reptile?
Under the costume.
Yeah, but like, is that how people know him?
I don't really know. I don't know like what the. I mean, I'm not the biggest Mortal Kombat. Like, I don't follow all the lore. I don't know what all the lore is and stuff. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I know that Reptile is like looks like that underneath the costume. Like, I know that some of his finishing moves when he takes his mask off and stuff, it's like a reptile. But
because I remember in the very, very beginning, he was just a dude. Like, I loved how Mortal Kombat just got sucked into the whole Sub-Zero Scorpion motif. And they're just like, let's do every color. Let's do every color there is.
That was a limitation of the technology. It was because they wanted to add more characters, but they didn't have the memory to do like new models. So they just did a palette swap and just changed one from blue to yellow.
Love it.
And then they're
like, hey, let's do a green one.
Let's do a green one. Yeah.
Let's do a gray one.
Yep. I like that Cabal was in this too. I thought that I like what they did with that character where they made him sort of like a wisecracking dickhead. Like, he had a bit of an attitude towards him. I like the Cabal character, especially Mortal Kombat 11. I had a lot of fun playing as Cabal.
Yeah.
And that was a character that I was never like a big fan of. Of course, I mentioned Kung Lao. Melina's in here. I always liked Melina as a character as well. You get to see a little bit of her in action, not a ton. Of course, you have like most of the core characters with Sonya Blade, Raiden, Kano, Liu Kang. Interestingly, Shang Tsung is in here. He is like the big bad guy, but you don't really get to see him do much. He does take someone's soul at one point, but yeah. And we mentioned Scorpion and Sub-Zero, so all of the like MK1 characters are in here except for Johnny Cage, which I'm assuming that was all part of their master plan with the series, but it still felt really weird to not have Johnny Cage, considering he's like, I think most people could say like Liu Kang is like the main Mortal Kombat guy, like the main protagonist, and then like Johnny Cage is sort of maybe second on the list. So what?
I kind of enjoyed that because I hate Johnny Cage, and I already had to deal with fucking Jackson Sonya Blade, for Christ's sake. Cole Young.
I like Johnny Cage. I like his attitude, and I think that is a character like the version of Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 11. I think was fun, especially because if you're not familiar with the plot of Mortal Kombat 11, there was like this whole time rift thing that's happening, and so you have like young Johnny Cage meeting the old Johnny Cage, and I don't know, there's the fun dynamic with that. I like that they used the original Mortal Kombat theme song, and like a remixed version of that. I thought that was cool.
I did. I thoroughly enjoyed the little joke of the leg sweep.
Yeah, we kept doing it.
That was my favorite. Yeah, that's my favorite part.
I thought that was great too. Yeah, there's tons of little like Easter eggs and winks and nods to fans, and I thought that most of it worked. Like I said before, some of it felt tacked on, but I think that most of it was pretty fun. And like it was funny because like there would be something like a fight, and I would say to my wife like, "Oh, I wonder if they're gonna do this move with this person," and then they would do it, and I'd be like, "Yes!" Especially with like Sub-Zero when he sprays the ice on the floor and stuff like that. So I think that there is a lot of fan service in here, and I think that that's really fun. I just think that the overall package is such a disappointment, and if they are working on a sequel, I'm hoping that they listen to what people are saying with these criticisms and focus the story and focus the fight choreography and don't just cram in a million fights all at once where we get split seconds of each one. Like I'm assuming that if there is a sequel, it will take place during the tournament, and I think that hopefully just by nature of the plot, it'll fix that issue where they'll be forced to focus on one fight at a time. But then like you have the issue where it's a tournament, so like the environment is not going to be great, but I don't know, who knows. I was kind of hoping that we would get like a cool, like one of the environmental kills that are in the game. Like I was hoping that somebody would get knocked into the spike pit, like from Mortal Kombat 2.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do. And I just remembered something that I hope they don't do. Because I'm kind of looking through characters of Mortal Kombat. And I reminded of Stryker, who's my least favorite Mortal Kombat character. So if they just make sure not to bring Stryker.
I think Stryker was in the second movie. I think he was in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, if I remember correctly. Stryker was like the lamest. Oh my god!
I think that was always the sad thing to me with Mortal Kombat is like the Earthrealm people are just always like military, just like military guys.
Yeah,
like, that's just a bummer.
Military guys are like MMA fighters, or
and I mean Stryker's fucking
SWAT guy.
NYPD. Yeah, give me a goddamn. Come on,
Stryker.
So boring. Fucking Stryker.
I think that there's still a lot of opportunity here. I think that they can recover this, just because it wasn't, like I said at the top of the review. I didn't think it was complete dog shit. I think that there were a number of aspects of it that I did like, and I think that they did right. I think that they just need to refine things and focus a little bit more, and a sequel could be a lot of fun. I mean, there's still, even though they did pack in a lot of characters, there's still a ton of characters that they can pull from that I think would be really fun. Baraka, you can pull him in.
Oh yeah,
I think that would be
Baraka. Yeah, man. Noob Saibot,
yeah. Cyrax,
yeah. Now we're talking. Bring those in and leave, Stryker and them on the cutting room floor.
They did show a picture. What was the guy's name? His name's like Nighthawk or something. The Native American guy. I can't remember his name.
Nightwolf.
Yeah. They showed a picture of him in the movie, so that was a little Easter egg, but he wasn't actually in it.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because it's like, if they're aware of Nightwolf, and he has the sign, like, where was he during the training?
So, well, it looked like he was a part of like the history. Part of the research. So he might have been like in one of the 9 tournaments that they lost.
Could be.
Which is a weird thing to have, because now you're messing up with the timeline.
Yeah, I mean,
Kombat, but who knows?
They could easily, and that's the thing. Like, a lot of these characters, not a lot, some of the characters do get killed, but being Mortal Kombat, I think that you could easily, bring them back. Like, just looking at if they decided to use MK11 as a plot, as a way to bring it in, like, there's this whole like time shifting element and stuff where you could.
Well, yeah,
do that.
it's Mortal Kombat. Like, we don't care.
Man,
No
I
one
can't
cares.
remember. There's this one character in Mortal Kombat 11, and she uses like blood magic to fight, and like when she like beats someone up and they start to bleed, she can like pull the blood out of them and turn it into like blades and stuff. And she's like a total badass character. I'd like to see that character come in. Yeah, there's just a lot of opportunities here.
I might have to get Mortal Kombat 11. I think that's what we're finding out here.
I think it was recently it was on sale. I'm not sure what platform. I think it was free. I think I saw it was like free recently or something. I don't know. I'll look into it. Let you know. And they added so many characters like Terminator and RoboCop and all these other. It's a really great game. It's really fun. Anyway, let's go ahead and give Mortal Kombat a score. It's a bit of a tough one for me, just because I think it wasn't horrible, but I was still disappointed despite going in with fairly low expectations. So I think I'm at like a 4.5 on this one.
I would put me at a 3.5, I think.
All right. It still has its moments. I think that the Scorpion Sub-Zero fight is almost worth the price of admission, especially if you have HBO Max and you can just check it out there. And like that fight is incredible. Like it's so good. So
yeah.
And I love the effects work. Like just going back, like the ice, what they did with the ice and like with Scorpion and the fire effects. Even like the stuff that Liu Kang did with fire, I thought looked really good. So
yeah.
There's definitely some positives to be said about Mortal Kombat. Not the same kind of train wreck that like Mortal Kombat Annihilation was, or most other video game movies. I mean, just think about it on that level. This is a video game movie, so the bar is pretty fucking low to begin with. I don't know if it's the best video game movie, but it's like probably the top 5.
Well, and the fact that it's a fighting game,
right.
Video game movie. Like there's like it's not a video game that has a story.
Right, it's not The Last of Us. All right, let's move on and talk about someone I've been watching. I had a pretty light week this week. I saw Boys from County Hell, which is on Shudder. This came out on Shudder on Thursday. It's directed by Chris Bow. This is a horror comedy. It's a vampire horror movie. Does some interesting things with the vampire lore. It doesn't follow the rules of vampires, which I actually found a bit refreshing. It's like I think a lot of these movies feel bound by these arbitrary rules about vampires and zombies and other creatures, where it's like, yeah, no, you don't. You're not. You can do whatever you want. Like
yeah, that's why I love. It's like these aren't like written in stone.
Yeah, it's not pulling from like the history books here. Like you can do whatever you want. So they do some really interesting things with vampires in this. The basic premise is that it takes place in this small Irish town, this little village, and on the moors there's this shrine, and there's all this like backstory about vampires. Nobody really believes it, and they're installing this like highway bypass through the town, and they have to destroy this like monument. This basically it's like a pile of rocks. And before that happens, there's an accident where someone gets injured and killed at this, and the blood from this person gets like it seeps into the ground, and it awakens a vampire. And the sort of interesting thing about this is how the vampire extracts blood from people. Basically, it doesn't have to just come up and bite your neck like a traditional vampire. It can like actually pull the blood out of you. So there was a scene where this one dude was in an accident and he had to have neck surgery. So he's like sitting there, and he has the neck brace thing on, and he's talking to one of his friends, and he's like, oh, and he's like, oh, one of my stitches just popped. And all of a sudden you just see just blood just gushing from his neck. And it's because the vampire was there. And there's another scene where there's an elderly couple, and they're sitting and watching TV. And the woman her nose just starts gushing blood, and then the husband, like his eyes just start bleeding, and there's this really cool effect where you can see like the blood sort of running across the floor towards the vampire. So there's some really cool stuff here. It's not overly goofy. That was the one thing that I was a bit concerned about. I'm just kind of tired of horror comedies that try to get really overly goofy and gory. Like I've just seen it too many times before. Like with Deathgasm, I feel like that was just the last one I need to see for a while, because that did it right, and I feel like that's just like anything else feels like a knockoff. But the tone of this is a little bit more serious than kind of what I expected going into it, but it's still fun. And overall, I would recommend Boys from County Hell. I like the title too, and it's on Shudder. So if you have Shudder, check it out.
Okay, all right. I watched something on Shudder as well, and that's Edge of the Axe, 1988.
Oh, okay.
Which in the movie it says that it's directed by Joseph Bronstein, but that is not correct. Using a fake name there. It's actually Jose Ramon Larraz. So this is kind of an odd, like half Spanish American production type thing going on here. What it is essentially is just a clear Halloween ripoff. Just you got an axe wielding murderer going around, just causing havoc. And I like that the actual like synopsis on Shudder says a small town in California they have to deal with the exploits of an axe wielding maniac. And I just like that they use exploits. Like, it's not necessarily him killing people. It's just
him running around causing trouble.
Oh man, doing pranks and such. So he wears a white mask, right? It's a goofy looking mask. You got some point of view stuff from the killer. Like it's all very, there's this idea of like, oh, it could be this person that escaped from a psychiatric hospital. Like, it's fucking Halloween. Ridiculous. But the thing that gets me about this movie is it does that thing where it kind of introduces a number of characters in this small town that could potentially be a suspect. They give you a little clue to each person where you're like, well, it could be him, or it could be this guy. So you get this long list of people, of characters that it could be. Right? So, and then what it ends up doing is we're going to make it someone, the person that you would least suspect. And it just, oh my God, you're just going to gasp. It's going to blow your mind. But also, when most movies do that, you just, like, most of the time, you're just like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, eye roll.
And that's what happens here. It just, like, as soon as it's, like, introduced, you're just like, well, no, that can't be. I saw the killer. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, I didn't see the face, but I saw the frame of the person, then it doesn't match at all. Like, why are you doing this? It doesn't make sense. But that's what they do. And it just it doesn't necessarily ruin the movie because it's not that good of a movie to begin with, to be honest. It's pretty dull, unfortunately. Even at 90 minutes, there's a lot of nothing going on. The kills are okay. The interesting thing here is that, like, when a person is getting hacked up with the axe, like, it shows them getting hit with the axe. Like, it looks like it's a dummy axe and it's just a person beating someone with this dummy axe, it's just interesting. It's interesting. The only other element to this that's of note is there's two young people that are kind of like starting a relationship, and they're both really into computers.
Yeah.
And the guy's like super into. He got his Icarus. You can ask questions to plug into the central terminal. You find out anything you need to know. So they kind of end up like using that to try and figure out who the killer is, but not really. So that's kind of like an interesting little, snapshot, time capsule type thing. but for the most part, this was a huge letdown for me.
Yeah, that was the computer stuff is really the only thing I remember. But I wrote a review for this movie when it was it came out on Arrow. Arrow released this on Blu-ray back in January of 2020. And before Arrow put it out, it was only available on VHS. They did like a remaster and put it out.
Yeah,
I remember almost nothing about it.
I
the computer stuff.
I had a feeling that this was going to be, this is going to be something special, but it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, if you're in the market for like just an 80s slasher that maybe you haven't seen before, fits that bill.
It's got an interesting thing at the end where like the music for this movie is really bizarre because it does like dramatic music, but it also has this weird like country, like upbeat country soundtrack to it. And it's really weird at the end where they do like there's this kind of, not really a twist, but kind of like this realization it's supposed to be kind of like very sinister. And they have this sinister music playing. But like as it's happening, it gets completely interrupted by credits and upbeat country music. Just fucking shuts it up. Just like, no, we don't got time for that. We got to do credits, motherfucker. We're out of here.
Love it. All right. That's the Edge of the Axe. Edge of the Axe, not The Edge. It's just Edge. It's on Shudder. Check it out there. The only other one that I saw was... Actually, there's two that I can mention. The first one is The Orange Years, the Nickelodeon Story. This is on Hulu. This is a documentary about Nickelodeon.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of Nickelodeon as a kid. One might even say I was obsessed with Nickelodeon as a child. Just consumed everything Nickelodeon. Watched it 24/7. I had all of the Nickelodeon merchandise. I had Ren and Stimpy dolls and Gak, all of that. Loved me some Nickelodeon. Was obsessed with Snick. Are You Afraid of the Dark? And this documentary just goes over the history of Nickelodeon. So it talks about how Nickelodeon came to be, the people who came up with the idea, who designed the logo, all of the people who designed the original programming for Nickelodeon and like created Double Dare and then it sort of gets into all of those 90s Nickelodeon shows that we've all, that a lot of us grew up with, like Hey Dude and Salute Your Shorts, and they talk about Nick Arcade and Legends of the Hidden Temple and Guts, and they talk about The Adventures of Pete and Pete, which I was super happy about, and they actually spent a decent amount of time talking about The Adventures of Pete and Pete, which to this day I still believe that was like a show that was way ahead of its time, and if you see it today, you'll just sort of appreciate its brilliance. And they talk about like Clarissa Explains It All and Snick and Nick Jr. and all the Nickelodeon shit. So this was a fun kind of nostalgic look back at the early days of Nickelodeon, and it was well structured. They got interviews with a lot of the sort of important people at Nickelodeon. I feel like they kept everything very light and very positive. Like there was no like controversy or anything like that. They kept everything making Nickelodeon look very good in this, and maybe that's just how it was. Maybe Nickelodeon there weren't any controversies or anything. They talked about some stuff like with Ren and Stimpy and what they were able to get away with, and you can't do that on television, and how that was super controversial when they first released it. But overall, it was a pretty good documentary if you're looking to feel nostalgic. If you're in your 30s, especially. So, good stuff. It's on Hulu. The other one that I will mention, this is one that I saw last week, but I couldn't quite talk about it yet. I can talk about it now. That's The Mitchells versus the Machines. This is directed by Michael Rianda. This is going to be on Netflix. It's an animated film. Michael Rianda was a creative consultant guy on Gravity Falls. This is also co-directed by Jeff Rowe, who was involved with Gravity Falls as well. So you have kind of an idea of what to expect going into this. There is definitely some kind of Gravity Falls DNA in this, but it's also produced by Lord Miller, so you should also kind of know what to expect as far as the comedy going into this with a Lord Miller film. And it's great. It's hilarious. I was laughing from beginning to end. I thought it was just a treat. This movie is a joy. It's a joy to watch. It's a very positive movie. It's family friendly, but I think that adults can really take a lot away from this as well. If you're not familiar, it's basically about this teenage daughter who is graduating, and she's about to go off to college in Los Angeles, and she has a bit of a rocky relationship with her dad. So in order to sort of mend things, her dad decides, instead of just flying her out to school, that they're going to drive there as a family and go on this like family road trip. And as soon as they start out on their road trip, it turns out that these robots gain sentience and start to take over the planet. So the family has to work together to escape from these like potentially killer robots. It's a lot of fun. The animation is really good. It's the same style as Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So if you liked that kind of animation style, this is very similar, which I appreciated because it's not like your standard Pixar stuff. You know, it doesn't look like your just regular normal CG. Really, the only issues I had with it were whenever they would cut to the robot stuff, I found that to be far less interesting than just the family dynamic. You have this really great family dynamic that's occurring here. You have Maya Rudolph is the mom, Danny McBride is the dad, Abby Jacobson is Katie, the daughter, and then you have the younger brother who's voiced by Michael Rianda. And then they have a dog, which I love. I love their dog. He's a pug, and the way that he's animated is so funny in this. A lot of really great dog jokes in this. So
good.
As a dog lover, yeah, definitely. So you have a really great voice cast. In addition to the people that I already mentioned, you have Charlene Yee, Olivia Colman, Eric Andre, Fred Armisen is in there, Beck Bennett. And Fred Armisen and Beck Bennett play these two robots who turn into like good guys, and they're really funny too. Conan O'Brien does a voice. Chrissy Teigen and John Legend, they play like this like perfect couple. This like perfect. They're the neighbors, and there's just this like amazing perfect family, and they're really funny in it too. So, highly recommend The Mitchells versus the Machines. That's going to be out on Netflix this Friday, so check it out. And I'll have a review up on the site for this as well.
Okay.
All right, let's take a look at what we have on VOD this week. On the 27th, we have Murder, Barry, Win. This is some kind of comedy about a bunch of friends that create a board game, and I don't know, there's some kind of murder involved with it. Doesn't look great. We got Making Sense. This is the story of an aging neuroscientist who teams up with a group of young graduate students to prove that his hypothesis that individuals with disabilities hold the key to unlocking a sixth sense.
Oh.
Look out. You have to talk to Ryan about that. We got Bad Witch. Xander is a witch whose abuse of black magic has led him to disaster after disaster. Come on, Xander. Get with it. Get with the program, Xander. We got The Sleepless. It's a romantic comedy. We got Andy the Great. This is also a comedy. Looks like a bit of a coming of age sort of story. That actually doesn't look too bad. We have Here Are the Young Men. This is also a coming of age story, I believe. 3 high school grads plan to celebrate their newfound freedom with an epic bender. But when a horrible accident sends them spiraling, each must grapple with the most daunting challenge of their lives, facing their own demons. Anna, what's her name? Anna Taylor-Joy? Is that her name?
I think so.
Yeah, she's in that. We got Pipeline. That's a horror movie. The Darkness Pulls. We got Wildcat.
Yes.
Wildcat. Royal Tenenbaums.
Of course.
This is some kind of action movie. It looks like it's a Saban Films, so you have an idea of what that's going to entail. On the 29th, you have Things Heard and Seen. That's going to be on Netflix. On the 30th, we have The Mitchells versus the Machines on Netflix. We have Eat Wheaties. That's a comedy with Tony Hale. We got Percy versus Goliath, based on incredible true events. This is with Christopher Walken and Zach Braff and Christina Ricci.
Okay.
Tells the true story of a small town farmer taking on one of the largest agricultural and food manufacturing corporations.
Nice. Good work.
Mm-hmm. We got The Outside Story. This is a romantic comedy with Brian Tyree Henry in a starring role.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we'll have a review for that up on the site shortly. Without Remorse, this is going to be on Amazon Prime. This is the one with Michael B. Jordan. It's an action movie. It's a Tom Clancy.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll be giving this a look, because why not? Like, I don't expect anything out of it, but might be some good action. Who knows? We got The Resort. This is a horror movie. 4 friends head to Hawaii to investigate reports of a haunting at an abandoned resort, and then some crazy stuff happens.
Good.
Yeah,
I hope they win.
Yeah, it looks like it could be all right. I'll probably give it a look. We got The Virtuoso. I thought Anthony Hopkins was in this, but apparently not. Oh, it is. Yeah, Anthony Hopkins is in this. We have Separation. This is another horror movie. We have Golden Arm. This is a comedy about female arm wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's some funny people in it. Could be good. That's about it for VOD. On Blu-ray this week, we're going off of Best Buy again. Blu-ray.com still down. Apparently they had to upgrade some stuff and it broke a lot of things, and hopefully they'll be back up soon. We got Vanquish coming out. That's the action movie with Morgan Freeman and Ruby Rose. We got The Switchblade Sisters coming out on Arrow. This is a really good exploitation film. I'd recommend checking out The Switchblade Sisters. Got Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, also coming out on Arrow. That's okay. That's an okay one. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is coming out on 4K. We got Werewolves on Wheels from 1971. Donnie Darko getting a 4K release. This is like some kind of crazy box set that has like a poster and images, like still images, and it's like 2 DVDs. This is also coming out on Arrow. Big box set. We have a bunch of these like really cheesy looking wrestling DVDs coming out. Just thought I'd mention them because they're just like all over this release list, and they're so like they look like, remember like those sports bloopers VHSs that used to come out? That's what the cover of these look like.
It's just like 24 of those.
Cops Too Hot for TV. Remember that? Remember those?
God.
I've seen those ads all the time. Too hot for TV, cops.
Christ.
Oh, boy. We have Her Name is Chef. Got The Salt of Tears. Nomadland's coming out. Each Dawn I Die from 1939. This is James Cagney. Got Beware the Children. Looks like a bad horror movie. A Lovely Way to Die from 1968. Dirty Dancing is getting a new 4K edition.
What?
That's like a Best Buy exclusive from the looks of it. Steelbook.
Wow, how does that not already exist?
I'm sure it does. This is probably just some other edition. I don't know about the 4K version, but Berserkers, Gossip Nation. It's What's on the Inside.
I guess.
Yeah. The Broken Crown. That's pretty much it. What about Criterion's?
We got 2. We got Irma Vemp from 1996, another movie I still have not seen. It's supposed to be incredibly good. And then Godard's Masculine Feminine from 1966, which has been on Criterion for a long time, just getting a re-release.
Nice.
Getting that new 4K digital restoration.
Very nice. Very nice. It's interesting. They're getting 4K. Like, Criterion, they're doing 4K restorations, but they're not releasing them in 4K. They're still regular Blu-rays. So, like, don't you think they should just wait and then, like, release it in 4K if they're doing the 4K restorations?
I guess they're just getting I guess they're just taking care of it, and then at some point they'll do that.
Yeah, I don't know like if it's even like worth it, because I would imagine that most Criterion releases are a very niche thing to begin with, and then on top of that, I mean, like just the quality of Criterion releases, I'm sure that a lot of money gets put into doing all like the supplements and the packaging and all of that stuff, and then I'm sure that they are aware of like what the market share is for like 4K users. So, but I feel like they were slow to adopt Blu-ray too.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
All right, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @filmpulsenet and @filmpulsekevin. And if you have a moment, consider reviewing us on iTunes. That would be extremely helpful. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.